Oh, there's a certain book of living and dying.
Oh, no, wait, that was... I'm reading Facebook, sorry.
Focus.
I'm focusing.
Are you sure?
No, I can't focus tonight. I'm tired. It's been a long week.
It has been a long week.
It's like...
Weather is up.
I'm blessed are the witches. Oh, wait, that's... Again, Facebook.
We really don't know what he's been drinking.
Actually, I got a Mountain Dew with an energy shot.
Okay. Are you sure it's going to start from so I'm not
You know what? It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because my boss where I work now, my full-time job, used to take my coffee cup and sniff it every once in a while to see if I was drinking.
Only explanation.
The only explanation, come to find out.
You told your boss that.
She didn't know.
So we have a round table tonight. Our table is a little empty, but...
Yeah, we don't have Jim and Susan. Are they coming?
They are coming. They are running late.
Damn kids.
So they are going to be reprimanded for not being on time.
I hope so.
Our topic tonight is kids with psychic abilities.
Psychotic children.
Yeah.
That would be my kid. Hopefully. Psychotic. Yeah.
So, and I think this is a relevant topic for several of us here who were kids with psychic abilities and who have kids with psychic abilities. And then we have some kids sitting there with abilities.
Yeah, he's not really a kid anymore, I guess, legally. Legally, he's borderline adultish.
Yeah, but, probably until they hit 25.
I'm 39, pushing 40, and I still don't feel like an adult, so I'm good. Yeah, I was waiting for you all to kick in.
I got a ways to go.
Yeah, but you're only like 21, right? Oh, okay. You're really 43? Wouldn't have guessed that.
I see,
Oh! Sorry. Lisa's 59. Really? No,
you are I am not 59.
Yeah, anymore. Actually, Lisa's only like 34.
There you go.
Backwards.
Well, what is it?
Cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, less, yeah.
Cheaper?
Whatever.
How is it cheaper?
You can stab me if I pull my eye.
I'm just going to throw something. Where's my candle?
Yeah. That's going to heavy.
That is 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over there.
Okay, so kids with psychic abilities. What is one of the things that children with psychic abilities often get misdiagnosed with?
Schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia.
Personality. Actually, they're defined as separate disorders now. Sometimes bipolar.
Invisible children, invisible friends, that's on them.
Yeah. Imaginary friends.
Something like that.
Imaginary friends. And of course, often everyone assumes that what they're talking about is who they're talking to is imaginary.
It's not really there.
Right. I think not only being mislabeled as far as conditions is they just have a funny time fitting in.
I agree with that.
That's what it's impact. And, it makes it hard. And I think, a big problem is if the people close to them haven't gone through those issues, don't recognize it, it makes it sometimes feel so good.
I didn't recognize it. Well, I myself really, I mean, I knew, but I didn't know, you know. I mean, Tristan would come to me in the middle of the night and tell me stuff, and, you know, it's just a kid.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it, is people just assuming kids are being kids, and often we don't relate to them as the people that they are.
Right. Other than just being children.
I think that's what I have, a vivid imagination.
Yeah, a vivid imagination. And you know, it's funny because, and I've discussed this before, as a child, I grew up in a pretty open-minded household, so I knew about this type of thing, and I saw stuff when I was growing up. But, like, I'd forgotten, you know? I drank it away for a long time. And so there was no, I really had, and still today, there's stuff that comes back to me that I'm remembering from, you know, my earlier life that, you know, pre-military, I think absolutely the military is the worst thing in the world for somebody with abilities, but, because it really screwed me up for a while, and, you know, and not that I'm anti-military, because I'm not. I love the military, I love people in it. But I'm saying it's very hard for somebody with sensitivities that don't know what they're dealing with to be able to decipher between the bullshit and the not bullshit.
Well, I'm not sure that any regimented, the children who have a vivid imagination like myself, you know, when you go into these places and they kind of want you to conform, and there's no lot to conform to some people.
I know it's hard for Tristan. Tristan didn't, I mean, public school, that's just not for him, right? But, you know, like Christian kind of girl, like their mother and all that stuff, and there's food, there's always going there, and I thought, so I told him there, and I thought, and maybe cold juice,
And that's even not as bad as what a lot of kids say, if they come from a background that is very, certain religious backgrounds and very regimented, you know, they're told that not just their exaggeration, but that there's something wrong with them, that they're crazy or that's evil, and so the kids start feeling guilty. And then that brings up the question yourself, and that there's something wrong with you, then be perfectly honest. That process is very similar to what happens with child abuse and neglect case. From my other life as an attorney, I deal with that all the time. And it's the same thought process as the kids go through. It's just not being understood, not being accepted, and so they're convinced that there's something wrong with the way they're perceiving things. When they start acting out, they start rebelling and allowing the cycle.
But you guys showed up with snacks.
Oh, a pizza offering.
Oh, that's what's going on. Oh, fine. Use that whole work thing as an excuse. You're getting paid.
I was telling her that she might have found all that.
What color is it?
Blonde and brown, boy.
Well, not all of us can sport the pain.
You do it fair.
So apparently Susan and Jim just strolled in, you know.
It was straight from Anderson in 30 minutes, plus a stop.
You didn't have to, like, speed. It's all good.
Oh, I did it on the radio.
Yeah. prison. What is wrong with you? Hey, Tristan actually did post something on Twitter. Proud of you. We got 14 followers. Oh wait, that was me. You know, walk when we do that to teach. You need to post more often. I think so. It's all fun.
So we're moving to our subject of kids with disabilities. And we were talking about how they can be disabled and problems that they deal with. So you guys feel free to jump in.
That's a question. And one of you two that have been in this longer, how do you tell a kid is sensitive as in psychic when they're sensitive, or they appear more sensitive anyway when they're kids? You know what I mean? You mean as far as crying and emotionally sensitive? Because of being able to see spirits. That's what we're going by. That's like that. But do you think it's always that they're psychic, or they're just more susceptible to be able to see things that as adults we're closed-minded to? I think as parents, it should be our responsibility to not take that away from them. So being psychic and being sensitive are obviously the same thing, and just because they're younger and they have that ability that they haven't been tainted yet, you know, as parents, it's our responsibility to nurture that.
I think it's the same. Think of it as the same thing as being supportive of a kid who shows interest in being creative, in drawing or writing or music or whatever. And I've seen parents that almost crush that spirit, you know. Oh, they tried, they're not very good, or this or that. You know, it's the same thing to encourage in different states.
Well, no, I agree with Chris. I was trying to figure out if there was a difference between what we you know, because I know we have sensitives in our ear. They can be considered to have psychic abilities that they can quote-unquote see. So when they're kids and they see a spirit, so when we all know the stories of Mark's daughter and my dad, she was the only one that could see him, but he was very good. I mean, she's never met the man, but I had a tattoo of him on my arm, and she knew exactly who it was by his name, called him by name, and he took my arm, and then he would go down the hall to go see him. And then get pissed when he wouldn't pick her, you know, when he wouldn't pick her up. So she knew from a psychic standpoint, is that my understanding?
Maybe yes, maybe no, because, I mean,
nobody else saw him, not my kids, not us.
The small children, these are the like children.
And I think that's what he's done.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. And I think that's something that, you know, what's the difference? I think time tells.
Yeah, that really is probably the answer to that.
You know, when they're real little, they may be interacting with spirit or seeing spirit or hearing things because of those physical differences between children and adults. But then I think it can be kind of crushed or then suppress it if they are criticized or even when they're real little, because they'll be convinced, oh, I'm imagining this, or that's not real, or it's bad. So they start closing it off. Or they're not frightened. Or they may be frightened by it. But on the other hand, as if it continues and their perception seems to be more intense, and frequent and ongoing, then I'd say that's going beyond just those physical differences of childhood. You know, or things that maybe precognition, things like that they kind of tell you something, you know, I had a dream or I saw this happening, and then something happens later. Or, you know, Grandma's going to call, 3 minutes later, Grandma calls, those kind of things.
Sure.
Those would obviously be more... that
would be more of a psychic, what we would consider to be psychic than a sensitive. I think there's a difference. And we discussed that before. But.
And I know I would do that as a kid a lot. I would, say, oh, so-and-so going to call, and my mother would look at me like I was nuts, and then, a couple minutes later they would call, but there would be nothing that would have happened or been said to anticipate that person calling. So it kind of depends on all of those things. But, certain things, I think can just be because they physically can see and hear things, but it just really depends on circumstances.
It makes me wonder, the more that I learned and more I got into this, how many imaginary friends of kids are actually imaginary friends and not maybe the spirit of kids' friends.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's far more than people think.
Probably more than a lot of people, especially unfortunately in the area we live in, because, it's the Bible Belt, and you're not supposed to be able to see those things.
That's true, yeah.
An example I can think of is of a situation that we investigated a few years ago, actually. There was a little boy who talked about someone named Jackson, and they didn't know anyone named Jackson. That was not a name that, there was no one in the family, no friends, he didn't watch anything on TV with that name, and so they were really surprised because, it's not like, some people have imaginary friends, and maybe someone they know, or say they have a cousin Penny, and now they have an imaginary friend Penny. I think that if they're talking about imaginary freedom, and there's details like that say, I can't tie it to something that they like, or a TV show they like, or someone they know. Right, I think then that's more likely spirit. I mean, others can be too, but I think those are ones that you can point to and say, oh, that really doesn't make sense. It has to be someone you're interacting with. I think I'm just going to say 90% of parents make the mistake of their first instinct is to stifle having a child too, because of a label, or they don't, you know what I mean? Like, they're just like, oh, there's somebody here, or oh, you didn't do that, or so you make the child think, okay, well, maybe I didn't do that.
I've seen some articles and different things where they try to make pictures, the kids that imaginary friends that think something traumatic, quote unquote, happens to them, and that's the way they're coping. And I understand that can happen sometimes, sure. When I was a kid that's got imaginary friends necessarily had, somebody that, the same guy I was telling my dad, I was arguing up in one of my daughter's rooms with somebody that nobody else could see about the color of her Cheetos. And she finally turned to Cameron and said, what color is this? And Cameron said, it's orange. And she turns back to blank face and goes, see, I told you it's orange. I'm pretty sure I know who she was talking to. Now, we did it at a time, and I'm pretty sure I know who she was talking to.
And a lot of times the misdiagnosed most kids is crazy. They'll have, I think all of the ADHD and the stuff like that they're diagnosing kids with could probably be attributed back to other things, them not being able to understand what they're going through or what they're dealing with, emotions. My son picks up on emotions with other people. That's not his emotions. You can't medicate that emotion, right? He's actually better now that he's not on medication and he's learned to deal with it, right?
I imagine a kid that's late 19 years old with an impact and not understanding what that is.
It's hard.
Well, I mean, it's a matter that, in as far as the advice to parents, I think too often parents react by running to the doctor or disclosing to someone who decides that something is abnormal. And that's where this sort of going. We are so into the instant gratification that I don't get this happens. I'm going to run to the doctor. I'm going to go talk to this person, to that person, trying to figure it out. That's where a lot of that comes from. Instead of using a little common sense and saying, one, try being calm, so why, even if I don't understand it, even if I think it's imagination or whatever, who cares? And just, let the child deal with it. But I think often it comes down to control issues. Right. And speaking of the control issues, do you think some of it is because it's gotten so far now that parents are afraid if they don't go to the doctor and there is something wrong with the child, that somebody's going to find out when they didn't, and then it's going to be neglect or abuse, or so it's always maybe a very catch-22 sometimes.
Absolutely. I think so. Tristan's doctor was threatening to turn us into DFS because he wrecked his bike and had a bruise on his stomach. And we didn't rush him to the hospital. I'm like, he's fine. How many times as kids did you roll over your bike and everybody's like, here's some spit. They'll clean that off,
I was doing seriously stupid things.
Exactly!
Well, but, you get overreactions to things that we, as a society, are just not even using common sense.
No, we've gone too far one way with it. I think that there are situations where things like that are needed, but not every situation and not every time we turn around.
Right, and not only these kind of situations, but again, I see it so often in my work that things are hotlined or running to the hospital or this or that, and create situations that really aren't there. Then it takes a lot of time to deal with it, and the process of dealing with it often causes more trauma and more problems than to begin with. But speaking of kids dealing with things, I know growing up, I was very empathic and felt the energy and emotions from other people. And my parents were not sensitive and were really not educated in these matters at all, but fortunately had some common sense. And there might be a time, I was a kid and, be feeling energy, and I might just break out crying. And my mother would say, what's wrong? Nothing. Because I knew, you stop and think about it, I would know is it my emotion or not. And I'd say, I don't know. And then I'm just crying. And I'd just say, it'll be okay. And she would, at least use common sense not to feel bad about it and say, okay. And if you need anything, let me know. And so it wasn't a big deal. And that was probably the best thing that she could do, is, not make it a big deal. And just over time, I figured out, I am, I'm sensing someone else. I didn't always know who it was, but over time, learned to deal with it and to accept it. But looking back, I can see that if my parents had panicked, it would have been really horrible.
You and I grew up differently. Of course, I think these guys did too. On farms. I think kids these days, and I'm guilty of that, is, watch TV, play video games, blah, blah, blah. They don't go outside.
Right.
They don't, and nothing against them. It's our fault as adults that we haven't bestowed that into them, of course we didn't have video game systems. Well, if we did, they were, not near as much fun as sticks and dirt. So, and making, nothing, never mind.
Well, I think for me, I didn't realize my ability, until into adulthood.
Just open that can right by the mic. I'm happy with it. Sorry, everybody.
That was a monster.
I think in the situation that I grew up in, if I can look back now and see where I had them even as a child, but if I would have even indicated that, it would have been bad for me. You know what I'm saying? So I learned to cycle them all on my own. And, if you didn't mention them, then again, you got that, you didn't see that, you didn't see that, you know what I mean? So, I think one of the things that troubles me the most is why are we not trying to develop these in our kids? Why do we not coach them and really hone in on their skills? Well, I think for a lot of people, for parents who don't have abilities themselves or haven't been around it, they don't recognize it, and so it's proverbial Greek to them, and so it's not something that they recognize to even do.
Well, and then you've got too, even though in the Bible, there are seers in the Bible. Mm-hmm. In multiple places, there's unicorns in the Bible too, but that's a whole other animal. No, literally, that's everything.
I know.
But even though that is something that is brought up in the Bible, and people tend to not focus on those things that they've been told are devilish or satanic. Even though in the Bible it wasn't satanic. They were going to see a seer. That was common back then. Even I'm not gonna say that. That's an email. That's an email I don't want to get.
Sorry, Denny.
Yeah, sorry, Denny. Love you. So, I think that they don't understand that it's okay, right? My grandmother didn't understand it was okay because she was very devout Baptist. She did not know, and that's too bad. I mean, truthfully, it really is. I think that there's. I've even heard people call themselves Christian witches, which is mind-boggling to me. But, why not? I mean, that time period, you can look back at the time period, and the time period was basically what a witch is. Working in herbs, working with the herb, working with, knowledge, and that's pretty much what we do. But, so, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know where I'm going with this, except that it's sad that we put something in between something that is so beautiful, that we put something that, I'm trying to not offend anyone, we put something that has some deep-seated love but also has some deep-seated hatred in between what could very well be the next psychic or very good psychic that could help people, that could, talk to the past, to people from the past, and get that information and bring that back out to the people that need it. Good psychics do a service.
Yeah.
And even though the ones that, even like, most of us, that we don't predict future instances or whatever, that we can, but we talk to people from the past quite often. People need to hear that, I mean, people need to know that their loved ones are okay. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think from a spiritual standpoint that it's anything bad,
No, I had a girl today actually thank me because and every time she sees me, she's asked me because her sister had passed away, and her sister showed me and told me, give her some information. I did, and helped her. And so every time she sees me now, she always thanks me. And to me, that's like, how can you not appreciate your ability and want to, help people in that way? Because you're reading my faces.
Yeah, and then people automatically, I've had people automatically assume I was a Satan worshiper because I work in paranormal. Of course there is.
Look how people think they're worshippers who are Catholic.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Well, I don't know how I can. People tell me I'm going to hell because I wear shoes. I got my mom and dad and religious symbols on me.
Yeah, you got Thor's hammer too, so,
I don't.
you heathen.
Okay, I guess
We'll see what happens when we'll get there, right? If I screwed up on them.
Another good question. What constitutes sensitive, are sensitive things that they can do to help them? Especially if the parents don't really, have knowledge themselves.
I personally think that if parents don't have the knowledge themselves, they should find somebody who does. Mm-hmm. The problem there in lies another issue is finding, where I'm going, is there are so many psychics out there that are full of crap. Or I'm quoting psychic on that. Because,
on TV.
Yeah. And
or just
full of crap.
And not just on TV.
Yeah. Well, and I know I've heard some, up in Kansas City that were not on the up and up,
Yeah, I know.
And
hard to find. You don't always know that you can either ask who to go to.
I would say probably there's some good books out there too. There's one called The Intuitive Way. I've read it. It's an excellent book, and I think it might help the parents understand more if they, read something that's for people with, and intuition is not something that's, it's considered a psychic ability, but that's like, some of the biggest CEOs in the world, that's how they've made their millions, with intuition. That's how they, that's not something that, we're not predicting the future here, but it gives you an insight.
But trusting instinct,
sure.
I think that's a big key, is trust. Trust yourself. As a society, we've gotten to the point where we don't trust ourselves.
No.
And we rely on everyone else to tell us how we feel, what we should do, etc., instead of really relying on the abilities that we have innately, and, it's just like, any time that, and I think this is true for most people, your first instinct on something is usually the correct one, and when you ignore it, that's usually when you get yourself in trouble.
She's usually cute, and I usually make a mistake. It's all my fault. Just blame me, okay?
It's honestly, it's true.
You're awful quiet over there, son. Yeah, but you're a kid that has a psychotic parent.
Okay, how's this? Anything that you would, that experiences you've had that would have happened or you could have done or been told?
Definitely could have handled differently without you.
Well, I'll stab you in the forehead. No, honestly though, I know I did stuff wrong, so
when I was little, and living in a mom's house was the best environment for a person like me. I had more interactions growing up
with like with spirits and stuff in that place. And there just was one time that I got scared by one. That's basically what shut down a lot of my capabilities. And really, like I didn't used to be able to like talk to spirits and do stuff that most people really couldn't, but now the only thing I can do is just feel emotion. And I've been trying to get back what I lost, but it's really hard because I feel so high of a barrier. And
do you think there would have been something that would have helped you not build that barrier from that experience?
Not getting the shit scared out of you.
I know you sort of like a little barrier. If you got somebody to talk you off that ledge, maybe you lower that wall a little bit instead of putting it up on higher and leaving it on higher.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I thought I was like the only one in the family that really had any capability, and I didn't know what it was at the time, so I was like, hey, this is the normal. There's talking spirits and stuff, but the actual people who are still here. I mean, but I know at the time I didn't know really how to mentor, so I didn't know how to act, like how to act. I mean, really, it's been, I think when I was 13, like 12 or 13, Dad told me, hey, this was from the family. And I guess if I had him mentor at the time, I would think that would really help much. You know,
I was very supportive when I was really young too. And it's scary. And that's why I want to do what we do. Because I want to help children not be scared of it, not be scared of the footsteps in the hallway and the shadows, I think it's important about the ones that we do and how creative and understanding so that when you have a child who's experiencing something like that, hopefully somewhere we can find something in our work that can prove or disprove or give some answers to what's going on so that we can understand the better, the true side. And I think that's really what's important about kind of what we're doing.
Well, I agree, and I think that kind of brings up another point that for kids is that not only those kids that are sensitive, but just kids who are experiencing paranormal activity. I mean, even those that really don't have ability. There's a lot of things that I think can help and not make it such a scary experience. I think, again, we deal with so much with the sense of fear and not understanding. But often, we've had these situations where a haunting is going on, and often it will start with one person in a home, and often it is a child. And often the, quote, negative haunting result from those situations where that person sees out someone else in the family, they're told that it's not happening, they're imagining it, etc. And that seems to be a fact pattern that leads to these negative situations. And, a lot of the same things apply. I think that parents and family members need to be supportive, need to, one, not dismiss what someone is experiencing. And I think whether it's paranormal-based or any kind of experience, I think that's a big thing is that we tend to dismiss what we don't experience, what we don't see. And so it can be, tragic, whether it's something like this or being bullied at school, etc. And I mean, it's the same reactionary pattern.
That's really deep.
So look how Paris is a paranormal science and time. So when I was a child in the 70s, think about what was the paranormal. So if you had a vision house that was quote-unquote haunted, you know, I had Anthony Delaware, I had there was a little Chris after Dallas, and you know, well, the whole guys just never remember had fun.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Just like that on the wall.
It scared the crap out of me.
You don't know the topic. This is what you thought was going on. It's now, you've come a long way. And that's done really shows. There's some good and bad accidents, but I think in a way, you know, ultimately it's pushed the science and it's made it a lot less scary. You know, not a cold in my house, you know. Not hard to say.
So it kind of puts it hard.
Yeah. I mean, our house was pretty cool. As far as haunted houses. Make noise.
I think a lot of the time, too, that there's probably more than one person in your family that has the ability, and you don't talk to each other about it, because you're made to feel like it's not real. I remember an experience when I was younger. Another one of our team members, her is obviously a family member of mine, and her brother and I were outside, and where my grandparents lived, and we all lived right next door to each other, and there was about 4 houses, and we would go back and forth between the houses all the time. And I remember one of the things that I remember now, as a child, I've always been able to, I had this great sense that I could feel when someone was there. I could feel their, it was very hard to sneak up on me because I could feel that they were there. And I remember being about 8 or 9 years old, and we were running and playing. It was in the summertime. And it was a big family event, and everyone was at one of the other houses, and we were at another house. And we were walking back through, and I remember thinking and feeling someone standing there. You couldn't see them, but I knew they were standing there. And it scared the ever-loving, you know what I mean. And I remember from that day on, if I had to go back and forth in the dark, I would run. And I did not like to run. So fast, and I could hardly get the door open fast enough to get into my grandmother's house. And so I remember being in trouble for running into the house. And I'm like, okay, and so my grandmother finally asked me in front of the entire family, what is our problem? And she was asking if my cousin was chasing me, and I'm like, no, because he wasn't even outside with me. And I'm like, no, there's somebody out there. And they all freaked out. I was an only child from my father has 5 brothers. Okay, so all of the men went outside, and I'm like, and I kept telling my grandma, no, you can't see them. You can't see them. And then from that point on, then I was a big liar. So I mean, how do you get a child to do that? How do you, I remember thinking, right. And I'm like, and to this day, I will not walk back and forth there. I would go all the way around. So like that.
We need to start doing a little bit deeper tests before we allow people. There was not enough betting.
I was thinking the same way. I mean, I could feel someone there. I mean, I didn't know anybody was there, but I couldn't walk down the hallway.
But see, that was like that when I was a kid, too. I remember that.
There was spots in our house. I mean, I did our music too, but you don't either.
Right.
Did you stop and think?
And it's just crazy.
I mean, I would have never probably until this moment right now stopped to say to one of my daughters, just there could be something over here
So be aware of that.
And then they'll also can't say they're having midnight scare or something that they're not living on.
Now, I'm pretty sure that one of my daughters has an ability, but I'm really kind of not really good at getting it. But would you have thought, or did you tell him, maybe you probably did because you're teen. But would you have thought to say that, hey, just so you know, just kind of an FYI, you know, would you have thought to say, hey,
No, I don't think so.
I've experienced this, so just so that you're aware.
I don't think so. I think, again, I think that's a good point, is you don't want to plant it. But to determine, to listen, you just have to listen. You know? I mean, if he brings something up and goes, okay, yeah, we've been through that. It's like my nephew. Here's a good, I actually thought of this when we were talking about determining kids that are psychic or just sensitive as normal kids would be. My nephew he's 5 years old. He's an outstandingly smart child, beyond his years smart. But he sees spirit. Without a doubt, he's very in tune with them. He's cool with it. I mean, really doesn't scare him. It did for a while, but now he's gotten, used to it, I guess. But he has actually validated spirits that I have seen in our house at 5 years old. And my sister, will come to me and say, Peanut saw the Indian or whatever, And so it's kind of cool. I mean, that's some validation. Nobody told him it was there. He offered up that information. The funny thing was, my sister said, "Did you see the Indian?" And he said he saw a ghost or something like that, or he saw somebody. And my sister goes, "Did you see the Indian?" And he goes, "Is he a ghost?" I mean, he's a very strong entity, and he's so strong that even to me, he doesn't seem as spirit. You know what I mean? He seems solid. So that was kind of interesting. That he's like, "Is he a ghost?" It's like he's so vivid to him that he just doesn't.
Well, and there are times that you will see an apparition that is so vivid that you don't necessarily realize.
As much monsters you drink, I am surprised you are vivid. Like, you're not like, yeah. Oh my, there goes Nathan. I like my friend Carlicia at work. She drinks these freaking 500,000 mile high big Red Bull, and she's probably weighs less than Benton does. And I'm like, where are you putting that, number one, and why haven't you exploded? She likes to have 4 or 5 of them like this on her desk, and it's like, why is your heart still pumping?
It doesn't really affect her.
Yeah, it doesn't affect her either. She's like very mellow. I'm like, dude, I'd be like, 6'1", 250. That's so short. No, we didn't.
Well, also today at work, Shannon said she had a Red Bull, and she couldn't focus her I was trying to put somebody's hair.
You like Red Bull?
Red Bull?
I think they taste like dirty socks.
I don't like Red Bull.
Anyway.
It's like, that's my appetite.
Yeah. My friend at work, I mean, I swear, it's like a 44-ounce Red Bull every day. And she only crap like, we're getting off topic. She only crap like cookies and a Slim Jim and a Red Bull for breakfast. I'm like, yeah, why are you alive? Yeah, she's like, it's tiny. Yeah. I look at the cookies being like, yeah, me too, man.
Even the Slim for breakfast.
I eat ice cream for breakfast, by the way.
I like cookies and
Oh, that's pretty good.
That is
I'm sorry.
That's why you're on a fever and not feeling right. I'm just saying.
There could be.
The fever was between combustion and having in your gut.
Because there was some energy produced. I'm not surprised at that. I mean, I don't know. We didn't have any chat room. There's people in the chat room, but there's no questions on Skype and Christian feedback on that. But I think, you know, if anybody, I'm just going to put it out there. If anybody has any questions, and I'm going to throw this out there too, we're not doctors. Lisa is technically a doctor, but not a medical doctor.
I'm just playing on TV.
I don't want to hear what you guys. Yeah. But no, seriously, if you know, we're not medical doctors, but we all, you know, have our own abilities or whatnot. We have kids with them. So if you have questions, get a hold of us on our Facebook page. You know, email us. If you email us at info@paranormalsciencelab.com, Lisa and I will both get it. And then, you know, one of us will answer, or we can pass it on to another team member or whatever. So yeah, I mean, you know, the page is always there. If people want to ask questions or send us messages or whatever. Yeah. And that's probably the best thing. I would say deal with us personally, but, you know, Facebook has this great little thing that if you're not friends with the person that turns it never, and then I don't see it for a month later. So, exactly. So it's better just to get us on the Facebook page. I've had people do that. That's why I brought that up. I mean, they message me personally after an investigation, and I didn't see it for a month. You know, because I don't look at the others ever, and I don't get responses from them.
Well, how could you can access your other folder on your mobile phone?
I didn't even know there was.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you cannot access your other folder from your phone.
What's it even in that?
If you go in your messages on your laptop, and it's in there, and your box it'll say other.
That's the thing, if you never go on your laptop. Very well. That's right. There's probably a bunch of
Sexy lovely little time. Unfortunately, those things in my box. I love you, Mama. This is Jon Emmett. How you doing? Baby.
We have about 2 minutes to wrap up here. We're going to be at the Bordello tomorrow night. That'll be fun. There's a couple of people will be the first time there. 3 of you.
I know. Actually, everyone will be their first time except for me and you've been there, haven't you?
So I want to tell you what happened up at the LA too good.
Oh, my God, I'm waiting for a good time.
Okay, good time.
I'm sure Tom told me some stuff, but I forgot.
But and it is a very active place and one that is interested. They do have day tours. You can go tour it for
we're actually on Facebook too.
Yeah.
Galena Murray Bordello, I think is the.
Yeah, be careful because there's a hater page that's similar. So
the original Galena Murray Bordello fan page.
Yeah.
Galena Murray Bordello. Yeah, you're still a long time. I'm shocked. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up now. So.
And next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, we are going to have a tour at the Carthage Opera House in Carthage, Missouri. So.
Say it again, Leslie?
No. Not yet. Maybe. No. But
you're good.
Remember when you'll be.
We need interesting people.
But we will be broadcasting from Jimmy Coody's house.
Oh, that is next week, isn't it? Good God.
I know.
Look at your little spirit.
You're
Am I? Okay. Well, thank you all for coming in tonight. I appreciate it. And you all have a great night.
next week.
Bye.